When Hyundai unveiled the Prophecy concept, but it was one of the best, coolest looking EVs out there, and I couldn't wait for the production model. Now the official IONIQ 6, which is the production model of the Prophecy, will be unveiled tomorrow, but I've come across the production version images of this car today from a front, side, and a rear view. So I want to do this quick video to show it to you, and then make the proper video probably tomorrow, maybe make a redesign video on it on the Sketch Monkey. But here it is. Let's have a look at the production version of the IONIQ 6. So up here it is. We have a very clear design from the concept Prophecy. However, it lost something in the design here. I'm going to show it to you when we look at the side view. I'm going to compare the side view that we have right here to the Prophecy side view and show you exactly how this turned into a very cool concept and how it lost that concept-ness, specifically the stance. We're going to have a look at that in just a second. But let's have a look at the front end here. This is more like a side view, but we still have the almost the same proportions as the concept car, a clear dip in the rear. I think this is a very cool design because it's probably super slippery through the air still, but it has a new take on this slippery bean EV shape that we're used to seeing from Mercedes and from maybe a little bit Volkswagen, which we talked about in yesterday's video. This looks like it has its own identity, and I really like that. We have massive headlights in the front end right here, as you can see. We have some cool graphics in the front end as well. At the lower part, definitely more product design than the car design. And what I mean by that, it looks more structured. The lines are more vertical, horizontal, in combination with some clean angles and not a lot of curvatures to it. That's what I mean when I talk about comparing automotive design to product design. And I think that's what's happening here. This feels more product designy than automotive design, specifically in the front end. But looking at the side, we still have this line right here, which I really like, and it's a typical automotive design line, which looks very beautiful. Looking at it from a side view, as I said, I'm going to compare this to the Prophecy concept in just a second here, and I think it looks really clean. As I said before, I just think Hyundai is doing a fantastic job with their EVs. You have the IONIQ 5 as well, which is a completely different design philosophy than the IONIQ 6, and then you have the IONIQ 7, which in addition adds another dimension to Hyundai's EV design. So I think the designers are definitely having a lot of fun in their design department designing these new EVs for Hyundai. But you can see we still have sort of a bean-shaped design, and we have this short overhang or short hood in the front end, typical EV proportions, because we don't need to house an internal combustion engine back here, as you know. And we have some cool graphics in the bottom here, so you can see that this is probably part of a specific trim, but this part is now grayed out, which looks pretty cool. I do like when we have two-tone cars when it's done correctly, and I think it looks nice here in this IONIQ 6. Looking at the rear, this is the big deal for me looking at the Prophecy concept, where they had these vertical lights in the rear end. The rear end of the Prophecy kind of reminded me a little bit of, not so much design-wise, but in the spirit of it, reminded me a little bit of the design of the 240Z for some reason. I think it had to do with the taillights sitting so low down here at the bottom, like it does here on the production version as well. But now we have this light bar, which is kind of pixelated, similar to the IONIQ 5 as well. Looks really cool, and we have this line going in to the bumper right here. It looks nice. It's a cool design. I love that they kept this wing, integrated wing in the body, or spoiler right here, with the brake light inside of this spoiler. It looks really cool. It looks super futuristic in my opinion. And the fact that this rear diffuser, we're gonna have better pictures for this tomorrow when the official release, and I'm gonna make probably a quick redesign of this on the Sketch Monkey channel, so make sure you go subscribe to that channel if you want to see that. But I do like that it sticks up a lot further than we have, for example, on the ID Aero, which we talked about yesterday, where it sticks out it doesn't stick up too much, and it kind of made the ID Aero feel a little back heavy in my opinion. I do prefer this, a massive diffuser sticking up, cutting into the weight of the car and making it look more planted and less heavy in the rear end. Now let's have a look at the concept, the Prophecy, compare it, how it got engineered from the prophecy going into the production version. I think this is where Hyundai lost a lot in its vibe of this design. Look how massive, beautiful these wheels are on the prophecy. And the stance, it just looks super planted, this car, specifically looking at it from a rear view with these lights at the bottom sitting so low. This totally changed in the production version, as you can see. It doesn't have this light bar in the rear end like we have right here in the production version. And this diffuser were basically actually the taillights of the concept. But I think it has to do with regulations, as always. That's what happens when you go from a concept to a production car. You're gonna have some regulations. It's gonna maybe mess up the design a little bit. And I think that's what happened here as well. Because unfortunately, I mean, for safety reasons, I guess you need to have the taillights at a certain height. And I think that's what the engineers had to solve here. That's what happened with this design when they went from the prophecy concept into the production. They thought, how can we make it look like the concept, the prophecy, but still check all the regulations off? And I think they decided to have the same kind of outline for the lower part of the taillight right here on the prophecy, but in the production they turned that into the diffuser. They still have the vertical lights, which I'm super happy about. I think that's a good idea because we have those in the prophecy as well. But looking at the proportions, something is just lost in the production version. The wheelbase feel a little longer in the production version than it does in the concept, and that's also for, of course, occupancy in the interior space and the overall interior space. You need to have enough space for, I guess, 5 adults in this case. And you can see just how much higher and kind of fatter the front end is. It's super sleek right here on the prophecy. You can barely see any body panels above the wheel, right above the front axle, but here it grows substantially. And then we have this Kia EV6 dip in the front end, which I'm not a huge fan of. It doesn't look like a natural curvature, this curve right here, and then that it goes into the shoulder line. It does look natural on the prophecy concept up here, but as I said, they have to figure this out in order to make it into production. And honestly, I think Hyundai did a decent job turning the prophecy into the production version. I'm not sure if I'm gonna make another video on this, discussing more and comparing the front side and the rear as well with the prophecy. Probably when we have all the data for the new IONIQ 6. I'm gonna make a video on that right here on this channel. But overall, I think it's a cool design, and I can't wait for tomorrow to see the official unveiling of the IONIQ 6 and really hear the stats and the specs of this car and listen to what the designers had to do in order to turn this into a production car. So again, if you want to work as a car designer and you want to have fun, apply to Hyundai in South Korea, and I'm sure you're gonna have the time of your life as a designer.